Hello, everyone, and welcome into Senior Living Live. My name is Melissa, and we have got one of our favorite guests joining us today, Brandt Ross. Brandt, how are you?
I'm good. All things considered, we're good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, of course, if you're watching, many of you already know Brandt. Of course, his webinars that we've seen so far over the last couple of months are wildly popular. Aging in Place is an Illusion. That two-part series is already up and running right now on www.seniorlivinglive.com. So we'll be adding to that coming up in a few days with a new webinar. Brandt, a very important topic to discuss for this upcoming webinar, How to Live with Strangers. How did this topic become its own webinar?
When Jenny and I first moved in to the Renaissance, we saw that for most people, it was a difficult adjustment at first. And we were fortunate. We moved in and started eating here early on. We lived locally and we had our condo up for sale, but we had a chance to meet the people that were here and so on. And the more I realized that it was a difficult adjustment for most people, I realized we spent our whole life meeting new people and meeting and living with strangers. From the time we went to school, college, work, new family, and so on. We're always adapting to strangers. And I kind of look at it this way, a stranger is a friend you just met. And it's so important for us to stay engaged and learn how to adapt to strangers. We did it all of our lives, so it's really not anything new.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I know that you really go into depth about this in your webinar, which I think will be excellent for those who are wondering that exact question. How do I live with strangers? Which kind of leads to the next question. Brandt, how do you find common ground with someone or a group of people in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, it's obviously more difficult, and the circumstances are, I would say this, they're protective. The mission, in my opinion, for all of seniors is survival, is to stay safe and stay secure. That being said, we are gradually starting to create socializing activities, maintaining masking and distancing and so on, so that we're now able to mingle at a distance with people and get engaged in social activities. We're obviously doing a lot of Zoom activities, but we're now starting to do a combination of Zoom and personal contact and so on. So gradually it's getting better. We're starting dining again with groups and so on, so that it becomes a little bit easier now.
And I did like that you pointed out that one way that if someone's looking to move into a senior living community, that they can find out maybe what's this environment like? How is the vibe, so to speak, at this particular community or that particular community? A lot of these communities have Facebook pages or they have their own website. Can you glean information from that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in fact, I think it's a prerequisite for anybody thinking seriously about moving into it. They should look at the websites of every property that they're interested in. The important thing is start with as a sequence of priority. Number one, where do you want to be? Where do you want to live? Do you want to be living near family members? So that'll give you an opportunity to pick those properties that are in that boundary line. You want to be in a high rise or you want to have lots of green space. You can make those determinations from websites. You can look at the rooms. You can look at the measurements. You can get an idea of what rooms, what properties have whatever you want in terms of you want swimming pool or whatever it may be. So you can get a lot of information so that by the time it gets down to, you should have your top 2 or 3 or 4 properties that are on your menu. And then you can make arrangements to visit those. And it certainly makes the process much easier.
Yeah, and really in this pandemic, thankfully, we have technology that we're able to turn to, and that is just one more piece of technology that we're able to utilize. Great advice there. So one thing you did mention too about the coronavirus, but I think this can be its own topic as a whole, with or without the coronavirus, and that is, how do you know that the community you think you're going to select or that you are choosing is safe and secure?
I think my concern goes out to the single women, the widows, who are really, in a sense, isolated and limited and need obviously some degree of social contact. And again, I put safety and security. We're in a safe environment. They do everything they can to protect us. And when I say protect us, I'm also talking about the security aspect, because for single women going outside doing shopping or going to a mall or anything like that, there's a risk and exposure there that I think is extremely dangerous. That's maintained because we control the shopping, we help you, our shopping trips and so on, grocery or whatever it may be. And I think that the safety and factor is so critical for all old people because we are so vulnerable to falls and things like that.
Yeah, and I think that just the crux of all of this is really that at the end of the day, we all need to be with people. That is human nature. And I know that you really and very strongly believe in this from a personal perspective, from personal experience, and what you have seen living in a senior living community the past 6 years, right?
That's correct. I mean, I can't say enough about that. Even I think the part of Zoom programming, and I mean, I much prefer obviously the personal engagement, but even the Zoom programming, the part of it that I enjoy most, because many of the programs I do about history and folk music and so on, is the discussion that you have, or just the schmoozing, before the program starts or afterwards when people ask questions. That's the interaction that I love, because people, whether they do it on a chat line or they make a personal comment, you're interacting. And I just think that's so critical to our health, mental and emotional health and physical.
Well, Brandt Ross, as always, one of our favorite guest speakers on Senior Living Live, and you've got another fantastic webinar, I'm sure, that will be well attended by people wanting to check out the next topic you have. It's wonderful to hear from somebody who has experience living in a senior living community and can share that experience with others. So we are looking forward to it. It is called Living with Strangers, your newest webinar, and you can watch it September 17th at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Brandt, once again, thanks again for your time.
Thank you.